Signal's back. San Francisco, first time in person since 2019. You know, we talk a lot on this program about the cultural and industry significance of those events for lots of technology companies, particularly software companies. But for you guys, why is this a big moment to bring developers, your business partners, back together?
Well, we haven't done it for a couple of years, so it's exciting to get 1,000+ customers together in person. They learn a lot from each other, and just the random collisions that occur in a hallway are really, really hard to replicate through virtual screens and stuff like that. And so it feels like the right moment. We're certainly in the process of redefining the company in a number of ways, not least of which is around this vision as becoming a customer engagement company that's really platform first and can deliver capabilities that effectively any company can become an AI company in their own right. So it's a really exciting time.
It's the developer part that I find really interesting, right? Twilio is a cloud-based communications platform, and you allow developers to build within their own applications different ways of talking with one another, with customers. Just extrapolate on that developer part in the day and age we're living in the world of AI.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not just developers. We really kind of brand it for builders, and builders means the 10 million developers that we have who work on our platform every single day. It also means the 335,000+ customers that we have. There's a lot of overlap there, by definition in some ways, but whether you're in the C-suite, whether you're a line of business owner, it's really for everybody. But with respect to developers themselves, I think they're really launching some really interesting innovations as it relates to AI. I think us being able to offer them a platform that combines communications plus contextual data plus AI is really exciting. It's really resonating, and we're very, very proud to be able to support the thousands of AI companies that are currently building on us.
This week is the start of the next phase of Twilio 2.0 under your leadership. At the center of that is work you're doing with Microsoft through Azure Cloud. What is it that you're doing with Microsoft? Why is it significant for you?
Yeah, so with respect to Microsoft, we announced a multi-year strategic partnership. Obviously, they're an incredible brand. They've got great enterprise scale. We really view it as two great companies coming together to be able to deliver on the vision that we've laid out. In particular, we're going to use them for their amazing AI technology. I think they've done some really interesting things with respect to Azure AI workloads. Again, we're going to bring that together with our contextual data capabilities, plus our communications, all in one platform. I think importantly, we're increasingly going to market as an infrastructure layer, one that unlocks the customer experience layer of the internet, if you will. And I think Microsoft's going to be a big part of that story.
So do we view this as kind of a sales channel move? There's an argument that working with Microsoft in this way on a shared common platform helps Twilio go after a much larger addressable market in which it hasn't historically played.
I think that's definitely a possibility as time goes on, but we're really starting from the foundations as a technology partnership. We both pride ourselves on delivering technologies for builders. As I mentioned a moment ago, Builder is very much in the ethos of the company. Their technology conference, which is in a week, is labeled Build. And so I think that just fits nicely together. And I think we'll see how things go there. We're very proud of some of the abilities that we're launching together. And I think it does open the door for commercial relationship down the road.
If you're watching this program and you work at a technology company, you likely know what Twilio is, right? You have so many partners in all corners of tech, software and hardware companies that rely on Twilio. But understandably, there's a big body of people that might not. It's the same question akin to what is it that Salesforce does? But that's why I find the conversational AI part interesting, right? Historically, it is a platform that's about messaging, voice, email, and video. How is this conversational AI program and tool kind of disrupt the legacy part of the business and what people use Twilio for?
I don't think it disrupts our legacy part of the business. On the contrary, I think it's very additive to it. I mean, the reality is that today, There are thousands of AI startups, many of them starting with voice. Voice is just a very natural way to communicate, much in the same way that you and I are interacting today. We're fortunate that the vast majority of those voice AI companies are building on Twilio. And I think what's really cool is that voice enables much richer interactions. You get context. And AI can be really used as an augmentation of existing productivity tools to be able to solve consumer problems, avoid waiting queues, allow for longer, richer interactions that utilize data to drive context in those interactions. And we're very excited about that. And I think now is an especially important time as AI has become such an important part of the technology story, and Twilio is right at the intersection of all these different trends. And we're very excited to kind of launch the 2.0 of the company, as you noted earlier.
The next 48 hours in Signal are a really big moment for Twilio at a time where, like, honestly, you're doing really well. What I always find is when I talk to investors or your peers about you in particular and the company, they give you a lot of credit for the job you've done. You reported earnings on May the 1st, and a lot of people thought you were really conservative, in part because what Twilio does is, like, as you just explained, is quite core to a lot of businesses. Were you being conservative on May the 1st?
Well, I mean, we feel comfortable with the guidance that we provided at the time. I would say every day is a different one in terms of a very dynamic macroeconomic environment. I think we're simply being prudent given the larger macro geopolitical picture. But, you know, one thing that we did do, which is a little bit unusual for us, is we provided visibility into the first 30 days of the quarter in terms of some of the volumes that we're seeing. We were certainly encouraged by the progress so far in Q2 at that moment in time. And, you know, our optimism remains. We're always going to kind of run and guide prudently just based on macroeconomic conditions. But I can tell you with confidence, I've never been more excited about the prospects of the company, and especially as it relates to communications, contextual data, and AI. I think we're going to be one of the big-time AI winners.
You were, of course, formerly in a different role at Twilio. Maybe that's where you have that hat on. This is the question. In a recessionary environment, if there's a recession, how recession-proof is Twilio and the technology it provides?
Look, if we went into a severe recessionary environment, we wouldn't be immune from something like that. And I think we would find ourselves in pretty good company in that respect, right? I mean, all companies are never immune from a severe recession. I think in most other environments, you know, we're built for kind of the long term. You know, we've set up the profitability and cash flow of the company in such a way that we can withstand any cycle. We have very, very broad exposure. We're not concentrated like we were, you know, perhaps 5, 10 years ago in terms of any one geography or industry or customer base. And so I feel pretty good about the prospects of the company through any environment. I mean, the reality is just given how dynamic it is, we're focused on the things that are directly in our control. That relates to technology, that relates to operating rigor, it relates to financial discipline. And if we do those things well, we're going to be fine.